Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Morty and Glory video. In today's episode, we shall be asking and answering one simple question. What are the best loadouts for your Imperial Guard infantry? With multiple different datasheets, each one with its own dizzying array of war gear options, it can be really difficult to know how to equip your squads, how to build the models in your kits. And you don't want to end up building something which maybe later you regret because you just didn't know what a good weapon was and what looked good in theory and what was actually good on the tabletop. Well, never fear, my dear conscripts, for Morty and Glory is here, and I am going to take you through step by step my recommended loadout for each of the battle line infantry choices. So without further ado, let's fix bayonets and charge right into today's episode. So we're going to be looking at 4 different datasheets today. The Katashan Jungle Fighters, the Cadian Shock Troops, the Death Corps of Krieg, and the Infantry Squad. Now I appreciate that there are some elite infantry choices out there, such as the Kazakin and the Scions, Command Squads, all that kind of good stuff. Don't worry, they will be getting their own separate video. For now, we're just going to be focusing on the line infantry. Let's begin with the most straightforward and easiest one, the Katashan Jungle Fighters. Due to the age of this kit and the policy that GW has of only allowing you to take bits that come in the box, the Katashans actually have a pretty limited loadout. As a result, you're basically just going to take all the free stuff that you can get. In this case, for every 10 men, you can take 2 Flamers and you can take a Voxcaster. And that's literally it. There's no other special weapon choices, there's no other extra war gear. That's all you've got to do. So when it comes to the Katashans, each one of your 10-man squads should have a sergeant with a las pistol, 2 flamethrower guys, 1 guy with a Voxcaster and a lasgun, and the remaining 6 troopers should have lasguns. Obviously, if you're taking a 20-man squad, you're just going to double that. 2 sergeants with las pistols, 4 flamers, 2 Voxcasters, and everyone else with lasguns. But things get a lot more interesting when we move on to our next unit, the Cadian Shock Troops. Now, these are a much more modern kit from Games Workshop, and so you get lots of cool goodies to equip your men with. Each squad comes with either 10 or 20 people. That's going to be true for all the infantry we look at today. In a 10-man squad, you get the sergeant, the 9 troopers. In a 20-man squad, you double that. Now, in a Cadian squad, each sergeant comes equipped with a las pistol and chainsword, and each trooper comes equipped with a lasgun and combat weapon. Taking a look at the sergeant loadouts, you can swap out that las pistol for a bolt pistol, which is a good choice. It's a straight upgrade, it just gives you an extra strength. But my recommendation would be you give your sergeant the other option, which is where he gets rid of his pistol and he gets rid of his chainsword, and you give him a drum-fed autogun. Now, this is going to decrease the amount of close combat attacks he has from 3 down to 1. But this is the Imperial Guard. Cadian Shock Troops, they're not really designed for close combat. If you could give your sergeant a power sword, well, that would be a different story. That would actually give him some combat potential. But the difference between 3 strength 3 attacks in combat or 1, really, it's not going to make a difference. However, if you give him the drum-fed autogun, he gets more DACA. And Cadians like their DACA. They like to shoot people. So the drum-fed autogun gives him 2 shots at 24-inch range, strength 3. Basically, it's like having a lasgun that's always in rapid fire and just always getting that extra shot. When it comes to special weapons, you can take 2 in a 10-man squad or 4 in a 20-man squad. But in the 10-man squad, you can't have duplicates. That means you can't take double grenade launcher or double melter gun or double flamer. You'd have to take one type of special weapon and then another one. For example, you take 1 melter gun or 1 plasma gun. In a 20-man squad, you can take duplicates, but you can only duplicate each weapon once. So that means if you take 2 grenade launchers, you can't take a 3rd one, but you could then take 2 plasma guns if you wanted to. When it comes to picking which special weapons you should even be taking, I recommend grenade launchers and plasma guns as the go-to in 10th edition. Both have got good range, good strength, good AP, and solid damage. And the plasma gun starts getting a really good rate of fire when you get it in rapid fire range. I also do recommend melter guns as well. Melter guns are really solid weapons. They've got great AP. Their only problem is their very limited range of 12 inches, but they're a solid backup. So if you're building your Cadian shock troopers, the only special weapon I'd really avoid is the flamer. It's just short range. It's just anti-infantry, and frankly, if you want flamer troops, you'd probably go for Katachans anyway. They're cheaper. And also, you've already got a bunch of lasguns in the army. You don't need any more anti-infantry in this unit. Overall, in a 10-man Cadian squad, I would recommend the primary loadout be a sergeant with an autogun, one man with a Voxcaster, one man with a grenade launcher or a melter gun, one guy with a plasma gun, and everyone else should have lasguns. And obviously, in a 20-man squad, you're going to double that. So it would be 2 sergeants with autoguns, 2 guys with lasguns and Voxcasters, 2 guys with grenade launchers or melter guns, and always have those 2 chaps with the plasma guns, and the remaining troopers would all have lasguns. Attention, guardsmen! This is an announcement by the Departamento Militarum. Element Games is an official sponsor of the Mordianglory channel. They offer up to 20% off Warhammer 40k and 10% off bolt action and other game systems. Use the link down in the description to save money and support the channel. Anyone not using the link will be referred to the local commissariat. Also, don't forget that if you use referral code TIM3921, then you will receive double store credit, saving even more money on your future purchases. That's all for now. Fallout! Next up, we are going to talk about the infantry squad. Now, this is a bit of an interesting datasheet because there's no actual box of models for infantry squads. This is a datasheet that GW has given to the Guard because it represents a lot of the legacy choices that the faction had back in the day, and how Guard players have built their armies for literal decades. You only had one infantry choice. You had infantry squads. It didn't matter whether you were a Katachan or a Krieger or a Cadian. Everyone just used one datasheet. It's only recently that they've split them out. And those infantry squads are unique because they're one of the few infantry choices that we can take that has heavy weapons. In each 10-man infantry squad, you can take a sergeant and 9 guardsmen, or you can take a sergeant, 7 guardsmen, and 1 heavy weapon team. Honestly, you're almost always going to go for that second option, because there's no advantage to taking the 2 extra guardsmen. You just miss out on the heavy weapon team. It's not like if you take 1 sergeant and 9 guardsmen, you could run them as like pseudo-Cadians with an extra special weapon. Nope, that's not how it works. So first thing to say is, if you're running infantry squads, always go for the option that gives you the sergeant, the guardsman, and the heavy weapon team. Now, your sergeants come with las pistol and close combat weapon, and you can swap out that close combat weapon for a chainsword or a power sword. Literally take the power sword every single time. We've already discussed how chainswords aren't really worth writing home about. Power swords, on the other hand, they give you extra strength, they give you extra attacks, they give you extra AP. There's just no downside to picking the power sword, especially now in 10th that all points costs are essentially fixed. You know, an infantry squad is going to cost you 60 points no matter what you give it, so give it the best stuff. In terms of his ranged weapon, you're never going to keep that las pistol. It is the weakest weapon. It's pointless. You could go for a bolt pistol, but if you're going to pick a bolt pistol, you might as well go for a bolt gun. This gives your sergeant some long-range daggers, similar to if you were going for an auto gun on your Cadian squads. But honestly, out of all the weapons you can take, you might as well go for the power sword and the plasma pistol. Yes, the bolt gun gives you a bit of extra long-range dagger, but the plasma pistol is just superior in all regards except range. It's got great strength, it's got great AP, you can overcharge to do more damage. Just trust me, plasma pistol and power sword all the way on your infantry squad sergeants. In addition to the cool gear that the sergeant can take, 1 guardsman per 10-man squad could also be given a special weapon. These are very similar to the choices you get in the Cadian squad, except for this time you also can take sniper rifles. But you're probably never going to bother. Honestly, Grenade launcher should be your go-to. It's a great jack of all trades, master of none. It's got the range, it's got the strength, it's got good AP, good damage. Then after that, you should consider plasma guns. Then after that, you should consider melter guns. Flamers, again, you've got las guns for anti-infantry in this unit. You don't need them. And sniper rifles are okay, but they're not punchy enough for my personal taste. It is a decent weapon, but strength 4, I think, does limit it somewhat. Lastly, you can equip the heavy weapon team with a heavy bolter, an autocannon, a las cannon, a missile launcher, or a mortar. Out of all of those weapons, I would recommend either the autocannon or the las cannon. The autocannon is very similar to the grenade launcher. It's a jack of all trades, master of none. It's good in all situations. It's very take all comers. It's got enough rate of fire to be good anti-horde. It's got enough punch to be able to threaten heavy infantry, light infantry, and also medium vehicles. And in a pinch, it can tear a chunk out of a heavy tank, simply because at worst, it's wounding your enemy on a 5. But sometimes, if you need to bring down the enemy armor, accept no substitutes, always go for the las cannon. Yes, you're only going to have the one shot, but it's a proper big boom boom shot. It is strength 12, AP -3, D6 plus 1 damage. If you need a bit of extra anti-tank, putting las cannons in your infantry is a good way to go. In summary, in a 10-man infantry squad, I would take a sergeant with a plasma pistol, a power sword, a man with a Voxcaster, a special weapon gunner with a grenade launcher, and then a heavy weapon team with an autocannon. With an alternative secondary loadout being, if you want some extra anti-tank, you go for a sergeant with a plasma pistol and a power sword, one man with a Voxcaster. Your special weapon gunner, go for the plasma gun or the grenade launcher, and for your anti-tank weapon, you go for the las cannon on the heavy weapon team. Some of you may be wondering why I'm not suggesting melter guns, because most heavy weapons tend to be longer range. They don't pair well with the very short range of the melter gun. And naturally, one last thing to mention, in a 20-man squad, you literally double those loadouts. You double the plasma pistol, power sword sergeants, Voxcasters, grenade launcher guys, and you'd have 2 heavy weapon teams with autocannons or las cannons. And everyone else would have las guns. Last but certainly not least, we have the Death Corps of Krieg. They're a very popular infantry choice right now, the go-to for a lot of players, both casually and competitively. And this is because they can come with a lot of special war gear. Each 10-man squad comes with a Watchmaster and 9 troopers, and each 20-man squad comes with 2 Watchmasters and 18 troopers. Each Watchmaster comes with a las pistol and chainsword, but he's got all the same weapon choices like chainswords, and you've also got power swords and plasma pistols. You've got all the same stuff as we just talked about with the infantry squad. So what I said there very much applies here. Give your sergeant the plasma pistol and the power sword. It lets them Barney in combat and gives them some decent close range dagger with that powerful pistol. For every 10 models in the unit, you can have 2 Death Corps troopers with special weapons. But they're weirdly limited. There's flamers, grenade launchers, melter guns, and sniper rifles. There's no plasma guns in this particular area of the datasheet. My recommendation is that for every 10 troopers, you take 1 grenade launcher and 1 melter gun. Flamers and sniper rifles, they've got the limitations that we've talked about before. Where things get a little confusing is, unlike with every other datasheet we've talked about so far, where you just take a Voxcaster guy because it's just free, Death Corps have to choose between a Voxcaster and a 3rd special weapon. But that 3rd special weapon can only be a plasma gun guy. Yeah, it's really weird. It comes down to the fact that the Death Corps Krieg models are based on a kill team kit. Let's not get bogged down into it. You're going to take the plasma gun every single time. The Voxcaster, it's nice to have a little bit of CP generation, but you're probably going to be taking other areas of CP generation in your army, such as the Lord Solar. So it's fine when it's free on the other squads, but in every other unit, if I could do what the Death Corps could do and swap a Voxcaster out for an extra plasma gun, I would do. So don't take the Voxcaster Death Corps, take the plasma gun. If that all seems a little confusing, don't worry, I'll summarize it for you now. For every 10 men in the squad, you want to have one sergeant with a plasma pistol and power sword. You want to have a man with a grenade launcher, a man with a melter gun, a man with a plasma gun, and everyone else is going to have las rifles. In a 20-man squad, you're going to double it, just like we have done on every other datasheet. There's one last honorable mention. Whether you're running a 10-man squad or a 20-man squad, you can take one guy with a death core medipack. It's the one piece of equipment that we're going to talk about today that doesn't double. You don't get to take two in a 20-man squad. It's only ever one, regardless of the size of the unit. It's a little confusing because the medipack isn't on the datasheet, but its ability is. Don't worry, this was covered in an FAQ. And that, my dear conscripts, covers all of my recommended loadouts for your battle line infantry. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comment section below. Do you agree with the loadouts? Do you disagree? Are there any areas that you would change? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the Call of Duty. So a massive thank you to Bon Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, August Vardy, and the Tommies. Thank you guys. Your incredible support makes a huge difference, and it is a big part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time. But that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.